Hi, I'm Caroline, and today I wanted to show you a diaphragmatic breath and tuning into the diaphragm, but using a very particular yoga shape, makrasana, which is also known as crocodile. So I'm going to just show you a few ways to get into it. We're lying on our front, which isn't always comfortable for everyone. So sometimes a little bit of extra padding can be really helpful. So I know that my yoga mat is not going to offer my hips and my pelvis much softness or support. So actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay a blanket out onto my mat. You might have a rug at home, you might have a lovely soft carpet you can use, but this just here is going to help soften my landing, as it were. What I'm also going to do here as well, you could perhaps even use a duvet, is add a little bit of extra softness under my hips and my pelvis. So that's what I've done there. And this is my personal preference. You may find a slightly different setup, but this is what's going to really help support my area of hips and pelvis to feel comfortable for a little length of time. We stack our arms, our forearms, fingertips to elbows, or perhaps if that feels too strong when we get into it, we can stack our hands. So I'm going to briefly come into the shape so you can see exactly what I mean. So the fingertips are stacked on top of elbows, making sure that the arm on top hasn't any bracelets or a watch or anything that you have there that's going to upset your forehead. And then your forehead's going to begin to find your arms. And so the gaze is towards the floor. You may even find you close your eyes or soften your gaze, but this is important to keep the neck, the cervical spine in line or alignment with the rest of your spine. So that's key just there. The other option is stacking your hands. So you might find that's quite a deep back bend. You might find a softer version is happier. And so then you can find your hands stacked and you're lying on your front. In the classical hatha version of makrasana, the toes turn out, but actually my hips, my legs don't like to do that. So I just allow my feet to rest or to sit as they are. And actually today what we're focusing on is breathing. So once you come into that shape, we want to begin to perhaps release through the jaw. So you might like to open your mouth, wide, stick your tongue out. You might like to roll your tongue around the inside of your mouth. So always taking this possibility, this opportunity to release through the lower jaw muscles. And then we're going to begin to breathe slowly in and out through our nose. So once you find your setup, beginning to breathe in and out through your nose. And taking the first few moments just to feel into your breath. Perhaps you're able to soften your shoulders a little more. Almost this sense of your shoulders gently moving away from your ears. Nothing forceful, keeping everything soft and light. If at any point this feels uncomfortable, doesn't feel right, making sure that you're adjusting your shape or coming out of it, taking rest. In yoga, or particularly in breathing exercises, we want to make sure we're not forcing ourselves to do anything that doesn't feel right for us. And once you find your body has settled there for a few rounds of your breath, beginning to really focus as you breathe in on your breath traveling down towards your navel and the reference of the floor, because we are lying on the floor here, or perhaps you're lying in bed, the surface that you are lying on, that reference is really helpful because we can plan or aim to gently push our belly into the surface we're lying on as we breathe in. And then we can really feel into the rib cage expanding outwards, and we know we are taking a diaphragmatic breath. So taking a little bit of time to explore that. Noticing as you breathe in, your belly pushing into the floor beneath you, ribcage expanding. Maybe you can even feel some movement in the back of your body. When you feel you've had enough, when your body has taken enough from this movement, from this breathing exercise, option here to gently push back into child in some form of balasana and rest. Or perhaps you prefer to come to lying on your back and drawing your knees in for a hug. I sometimes call this an upside down child, upside down balasana. So easing out the back. Because crocodile is a back bend, we want to bring the spine in the opposite direction and just ease the back bend out. And you might like to take a moment to rest as well. When you do finally come up, doing so with kindness and gently and slowly, so gently rolling to one side, using your hands to help yourself come upright. So crocodile, a really helpful shape to come to because we can feel this area here pushing into the surface we are lying on. And because the belly can't naturally move out, the breath begins to move a little bit more with the rib cage expanding here, the lungs expanding underneath the rib cage, and we know that means the diaphragm is working well. It can be very tiring, so if you're not used to doing full diaphragmatic breaths, you've had long COVID, you feel fatigued or weak, many of those will make this feel like quite a strong exercise. So I would like to support you in just taking your time to come to this, only doing this for 30 seconds, a minute, and building it up but very, very slowly. It's also a really, really helpful breathing technique and shape to come to if you have symptoms of overwhelm or anxiety or a busy head, feeling stressed, or even actually that kind of feeling of fizzy blood that some get with long COVID as well, can be really, really helpful for calming and soothing your nervous system, particularly because you're in contact with the surface, so you're face down as it were, and often that feels a little safer, not always, but often it feels safer than being on our back, a little bit more exposed. So taking your time to explore that, do please comment below if you've got any questions or let me know how you get on. And I look forward to recording and sharing another video with you soon.